I see so many of this content, whether to practice, whether to not practice, how much to
Yeah.
practice, what to practice. What were the practices exactly that you brought into your regime of practicing asana that helped you to find that connection with your core muscles? Hi everyone, namaste, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Yoga Real with Aakeen and Kavya. Today we have a very interesting topic which both of us have been very keen on discussing because again about this particular topic there is so much of misinformation that exists out there. So today we are going to speak from our personal experience and what yoga has taught us. The topic for today is women's health in yoga. Welcome Akin. Today
Hi, Kavya.
the first question I have for you is you started yoga at the age of 15 and you are now experiencing perimenopause. Can you sum up in brief that what were the major changes in your life as a woman going through childbirth, going through perimenopause, and how has yoga shaped everything for you around your life?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as a woman, when she starts her menarche to this journey of mine, which is still work in progress, I would say, because I'm 46 and I feel like I am in perimenopausal phase right now. There is a lot of transition, Kavya. Like, I feel when I was younger, I was in my 15 and 20s. Um, my hormones were, I was out there. They were, they were, they, I didn't have any issue as such in terms of my estrogen dropping or my progesterone dropping and things like that. And so it was, there were energy levels were, my bone health was great, and things like that. And then, of course, when childbirth happened, my practice was different because at that time after postnatal practice, after giving birth, I was focusing more on strengthening my core,
Yeah,
strengthening my deeper abdominal muscles, because those are the places which really take, um, uh, need that strength and building. And so my focus at that time was more on strengthening my core, just so that I strengthen my back and strengthen my posture, all of that. So yes, of course, to sum it up, I would say the journey is not the same. Our bodies also change, just the seasons of the year. And so when you're in your 20s, your energy levels are very different to what it is now. And my practice was very different. Then, when I gave birth, my practice was again very different at prenatal and at postnatal stage. At prenatal, I was more focused on hip openers, I was more focused on strengthening my pelvic, and supporting the blood circulation there, strengthening the area where my uterus is, and things like that. So my asanas were focused there. And so, yeah, it is a transition and it's still work in progress. So, yes, the practices differ significantly from what they were when you're younger to what they are now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Akin,
But
you said one thing very
yeah,
important
sorry.
that
Yeah.
you said when you were going through your postnatal phase and yoga was there in your life at that time, you started focusing more on your deeper core muscles. Now, I
Yeah.
think the society is that way that women only look at their abdomen as something that they want to reduce. There's almost
Yeah.
every other fitness video is talking about how to lose your belly fat. But none of those videos are addressing to how to, build a stronger core. Unless
Yeah.
you are someone who has dealt with something, or I think because in yoga we have so much of importance in it, and not because you want to have a slim waist or a thin stomach, but because we want to sustain our lower back. Why? Because we want to meditate. So what you said about strengthening your abdomen is super important, like your regime of practicing asana that helped you to find that connection with your core muscles.
I think for me, it was also very important to, along with strengthening my back, because we want to sit for a longer time, which is such a good point, Kavya, that you mentioned that you want to sit for a longer time during meditation. But also when you give birth, you are nursing your child, and there is a massive posture correction that happens and posture change that happens when you're nursing your child. And for me, it was very important to have a right posture. And for that as well, to strengthen my core was very important so that I get back my original posture and I sit up straight and tall.
Yeah.
And Luckily for me, Kavya, I both my deliveries were, I gave normal birth, normal delivery, and so I could immediately start my practice as
Yeah,
in about a week's time. But unfortunately, if you go through a C-section, then the recovery is slightly longer. But ideally, within 6 months of time is the time you should get back to practicing yoga asanas.
yeah.
And there are lots of asanas that support core strength, like there is the plank, there is naukasana, and strengthen your core.
Yeah, true. That's true. I think there have to be more conversation around that, what the things that you are mentioning, that while nursing, there's so much that the body takes toll about. I have heard from mothers, new mothers, who immediately start experiencing pain in their middle spine and their lower back, especially because of nursing for longer hours, having to pick up the child during sleep throughout the night, and they do not have this awareness of building a stronger core. They might
Yeah,
focus on losing weight after their pregnancy, which they had gained earlier. But I think that is something we need to, talk more about as health professionals,
yeah.
as fitness trainers, or as yoga teachers.
And also, I feel all of this can only be done if you've got a green flag from your gynecologist and that the doctor has said that you're okay to exercise
Yeah,
at any level. Because a lot of people also just get on to the bandwagon of exercising and not realizing that that would do more harm to them than good. So
yeah.
I think getting that green flag from your doctor is also very important before you actually start doing your exercises, whether it's yoga or any other form of exercise.
That's true. What I've noticed is there's a trend now about postnatal yoga, but again, that is my personal viewpoint that yoga just does not enter your life post your delivery. Yes, when it does, it helps you to manage stress, it helps you to manage postpartum depression, it gives you a sense of community because you are practicing in a group class, you meet a lot of new mothers. So that element is there. But I think, what do you think? Because for you, yoga was also there before you became pregnant and before you gave childbirth. So how did that strengthen your 9 month of pregnancy period, and how did that sort of made your body and as well as your mind prepared for what was coming?
You know what, Kavya? I think I consider myself really, yeah, very grateful to of the fact that I did yoga before because your body is changing when you are pregnant. Every stage your body is getting different and it sort of prepares you. And lot of breath work that I practiced at that time, I remember that supported my mind. I did a lot of alulom vilom. I did a lot of diaphragmatic breathing. So all and of course om chanting and a lot of other mantra chantings that I did during my pregnancy, and I think that really supported me during my pregnancy and also post partum. I was sort of ready to what to expect. In fact, that was my best time in my life. Like I didn't feel that there was depression really because I was mentally so ready for it. And I would definitely say the breath work really helped me to go through it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think because of course pranayam has more to do with your mind than asana practice ever could. So for sure there has to be an emphasis on pranayam for women who are wanting to become mothers. And not
yeah,
just that, like for everyone in general, I would say, but especially for women who are wanting to be mothers, because there's a lot of things that can happen in the family, and you yourself has to protect yourself as a mother for your child to
absolutely.
have that
Um,
boundary.
yeah. And I'm sure you've heard this as well, that Krishnamacharya ji used to always say that prana and your mind are best friends.
That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, and your breath can really control your mind because your mind is everything, right? So when you breathe correctly and when you continue practicing your breath work, then prana flows well, which where the healing then automatically begins. And so yeah, this is what I'm sure you've also learned. So
Yeah.
I think doing the correct breath work is really good and very, very helpful. Um,
I think what
but
I have understood with yoga is that, I have I still have friends who are completely non-practitioners, and I have my family, even they are not practitioners of yoga. And I'm just not just talking about like the asana part, but understanding yoga. It tells you something so important about life, and that is that your mind is you are not your mind. It is just like an organ as much as your hand, if I can put it like that.
Yeah,
And once you see your
yeah,
mind that it is just an organ or just an
yeah,
entity which does not have control over me. I have
yeah,
control over my mind. I am
yeah,
not my mind.
exactly.
So then there's
Power of
no
the mind. Yeah,
exactly there's no situation of like, oh, why is this happening to me? What is happening to me? Because you're so in control, and then pranayam becomes a tool to like
to
handle
help
that.
you.
Uh,
Mm.
I can say like a very what is that word? Like a child who is always all over the place. The
Yes,
naughty
yes,
child. So your mind is like that, and
absolutely.
your prana is like that whip for that child, or that how we have in Bhagavad Gita, right? That there are the horses running in all directions, and
Yeah,
Krishna is holding all the leashes in his hand, and that
yes,
exemplifies what our mind is and what pranayam does.
correct, correct,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, when the mind is in control with the help of breath, then prana starts flowing with ease. And the moment prana starts flowing with ease,
Yeah.
healing automatically happens. Now,
That's
whether that's
true.
healing at a physical level or at a mental level, which particularly during postpartum,
Yeah.
a lot of emotional regulations need to be happen.
Yes.
Uh, so in that respect, and of course there are moments even in those where you have a bout of tears and things like that, but then you still come back then
What
with
I've
your
also
breath.
heard about postpartum depression is that your hormone levels changes very quickly. You have certain hormones during your
Yeah,
pregnancy, and after you give child, after you have your baby, after you go through your childbirth, those hormones completely drop, and your body is fully depleted of it. And
it
that
is,
that
it
that
is.
is why you experience that sadness and that depression. And
Yes,
funnily, I've read like, even the baby that you have given birth to, you're not able to look at its at their face, because
yeah,
your hormones have completely taken over at that time. And I think
yes.
same thing happens during our PMS also.
Exactly, exactly. But that's when the progesterone takes the lead, and then it
Yeah,
sort of, that sudden dip kind of makes you unhappy and sad in general.
exactly.
Yes, yes.
And
No,
I think
very true.
through all these phases, through when your hormone is completely guiding your mind, and your mind is nothing but made of all these hormones. So when
Yeah, yeah,
hormones are doing all their circus in your mind, if you have a strong pranayam practice, it just gives you that sort of like, a place to reflect back on what's happening in the mind without getting involved into it.
yeah. So true, Kavya. And speaking of the hormones, I mean, yes, modern science now is labeling it as hormones, but I think yoga and Ayurveda always spoke about it
Always.
as inner
Yeah,
channels and
absolutely.
inner changes that are happening through prana and through gunas and through Ida Pingla,
Yeah,
solar, lunar channels. So ultimately, the end goal is that your body needs to be in equilibrium.
equilibrium.
Now, the modern science calls it as homeostasis,
Yes.
but and how do you get your body into equilibrium is through pranayam.
That's right.
you
Even
know.
I read there's one doctor, she specializes in women's health. I don't know if you know her name, Dr. Claudia Welsh. And
Yeah, yes,
yes, you have heard of her, right?
yes,
And
yes.
she has this book about like, own your hormones, own your life, something like that. I will mention it in the caption below. But in that book, she compares TCM, which is Chinese traditional Chinese medicine, and
Yeah,
yoga and the current science on women hormones. Now, I have to say this that, as compared to other things, there's so much less work that has been done on women's health, because again, women are always neglected. But
yeah,
even with the work that has been done in traditional Chinese medicine, they call it yin and yang.
correct.
How you mentioned in Ayurveda, we have the gunas. So it's
Yes,
all about bringing it in equilibrium, not just through your pranayama, but your whole lifestyle, your dincharya, as we call in Ayurveda.
yes, yes,
But why do you think that women are, at least I have seen it, that women are more emotional? We feel things more, we are more sensitive towards things. And we need these practices more than ever, because you must have noticed that, you know, you having a bad sleep during a night, and your maybe your husband having a bad sleep of night, he will always be in a better place to, deal with the next day, and you will feel more cranky. At least I feel that always, that as compared to someone else, I am always more prone to having a bad day if I don't sleep well or if I don't eat well. So what do
Because I feel women are more lunar, whereas
you?
men are have more stronger solar energy, which
Yes.
means that for a man to get up in the morning and do 150 rounds of Kapalbhati, for example, would work brilliantly, or a round of Surya Namaskars.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that would not work for a woman, but on a day like that, where a woman has not had good sleep,
Mhm.
because they are more higher with estrogen, whereas men are higher in testosterone, which means that that itself just makes a woman so different compared to a
Correct.
man, and that's why women end up being more sensitive,
Yes.
need more sleep, because they need to, if because estrogen, if it depletes, then their sleep gets impacted, and that's why they can't function if they're not slept well.
Yes.
So yeah, that's probably why women
That
need
that is
that
also,
support
yeah,
more.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What I've
But
also
you tell me, Kavya, sorry, you're saying something.
I I was just putting it that, I have this theory. Again, I can't prove it, but I have this theory that at the time, if you look at the history, when these Hatha yogic texts were written or the Tantra texts were written, where you have all these practice come about of Kapal Bhati and doing the bandhas and doing everything else that exists right now, was written, all these texts existed at a time or were written at a time when sages, when women did not have that much, liberty to go around and practice. It was mostly
Yeah,
the path of liberation was mostly dreaded along by men, living in a forest, living a life like a hermit,
yeah,
completely, taking vairagya, was mostly done by men. And that is why when we look at these practices such as Kapalbhati, there has to be a distinction between what women can do and what men can do. And almost
yes,
like the teacher has to be intelligent enough to modify the practices for men and women in a particular class. Because
very true.
there is no
Yeah,
mention of, in these traditional hatha yogic text, you don't see this distinction written. So
no, very true. No, very true. Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
But you tell me, Kavya, how has your journey been from the time started your menarche to now? How has your journey been from the health perspective? And were there any challenges that you conquered through yoga? And how did yoga support you?
Yeah. So, for me as well, like, menarche happened at the age of 12, and at that time, I did not have any kind of, physical practice. I was a very lazy child always. I was just, academically going to my classes, going to my tuitions, and I was not physically active. And that started showing up because after your menarche, your hormonal cycles start syncing. And if you're
Hmm.
not syncing your lifestyle according to that hormonal cycle, lot of changes start happening. Lot of things
Hmm.
goes up and down. And
Hmm.
I started having all these issues of weight gain, weight loss. I was constantly fluctuating. My weight was constantly fluctuating a lot, like 10, 15 kgs at a time. And
Wow.
that started affecting me as a teenager because, at that time you're more body conscious.
Correct.
So that
Correct.
time was really, like, if I can use the word, very horrible for me because I was not able
Hmm.
to understand what is happening. I was still having the same diet. I was never a fat kid growing up, and then I started becoming fat. So I could
Hmm.
not understand what was happening to me. Why was that happening to me? And I started breaking out all over my face.
Hmm. Hmm.
That
Hmm.
triggered another insecurity, as a young teenager. But
Yes.
then, when I came into my college when I was 18, 19, that is the time when I started practicing yoga just so that I can be more lean or just so I
Yeah.
can be more flexible.
Yeah.
And it changed something within me,
Yeah.
which is, I would say that it put me from my sympathetic nervous system to my parasympathetic nervous system. And when you
Yeah.
go in that place, when you are relaxed, you start seeing the broader picture. You start understanding more of, okay, this is what is happening to my body. And then from there, it was a journey of self exploration. Ayurveda happened, and I always say that yoga is incomplete without Ayurveda. No matter which part
Yeah.
of the world you are in and you're doing yoga, you have to understand even a little bit of Ayurveda. You have to bring in a little bit of Ayurveda in your life, because both of these systems of healing follow Sankhya philosophy. The father philosophy is Sankhya system. And
Correct.
these both
Correct.
work, yoga and Ayurveda both work on healing you from within and from outside. So
Yes.
when I understood my Prakriti as a Vata person according to
Mm,
Ayurveda, it just completely changed everything. And from there onward, like before that, I used to have an irregular period cycle. I used to skip my
mm,
period. But understanding that, okay, I'm a Vata body type. For those who don't know, Vata is where your wind element is more dominated.
mm,
When I
mm,
understood
mm.
it, and it's not like, you have to change your lifestyle. You have to completely change the way you live. Just minor changes, just small
Yeah.
tweaks, it completely synced my cycle. And understanding,
Yeah.
now cycle syncing is a big thing. Every
Yeah.
fitness instructor is talking about, oh, cycle syncing. But in Ayurveda, it has existed forever. In yoga, it has
Ever.
existed forever. There are
Mm,
moon days. Why? Even, in the Krishnamacharya tradition, it's a big thing that you should not be practicing on the moon days, full
yeah.
moon and
Yeah.
new moon, because the energies are so imbalanced at that time that it is just better to completely rest.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
even during your period cycle, I see so many of this content, whether to practice, whether to not practice, how much to
Yeah.
practice, what to practice. I think the best to do is just to relax yourself and let yourself bleed when you have
Yeah.
a period. I mean,
Yeah.
you are not going to put on like 10 kilos, or you're going to lose 10 kilos during this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if you want to practice, you can go on walks, you can rest.
Or do some restorative
Yeah,
practices
absolutely.
or
Like,
do, yeah.
rest is something that people look at as a reward, but I think rest is a part of your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And that was
Absolutely.
my biggest lesson after coming to yoga and Ayurveda, that helped me sync my period cycle so well that I did not look at rest as something that, okay, I will get it if I do so much of hard work. I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
prioritizing rest in my life. And
Yes.
just slow down, not like, you become lazy. Earlier I was
Yeah.
lazy for sure, but now I'm well rested, and there's a difference in between those two.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So speaking of periods, Kavya, you do feel, and we've spoken about this, that
Yeah,
slowing down is very important, and not really doing any form of exercise is very important. Can you just explain a little bit more on that? That why do you think one must slow down during periods, especially women? And
yeah.
because there's such a dual conversation about this, that, oh, but I can do swimming or I can do things like that. But can you elaborate a little on that and
Yeah.
say?
So, what happens is, now there are people who are blessed with having no PMS symptoms, who do not have any pain or bloating, and they feel that yes, they can work out. But what we talk in Ayurveda and yoga is, we have something called as the Apana Vayu, which
Mm,
works on your abdomen and your pelvic region. So when you're having your menstrual cycle, already the Apana Vayu is very strong, because it's working on
mm,
that excretion of that menstrual blood. Now, when you exercise at that time, again, you can understand Apana Vayu is the flow of downward wind. The flow of
mm,
downward wind is so strong at that time
mm,
that
mm.
you try to like sort of come in between it, or you try to, reverse the flow of it, is going to create havoc on your body. And that's
Correct.
how I try to look at it, that some action is happening in the body which is so natural. No matter you sleep through the month, you do whatever through the month, your period will come at the time. It's the intelligence of the body. So when
Correct.
you just have,
Absolutely. Yeah.
just let that intelligence play out. And that's
Yes.
how we see it in Ayurveda and yoga as well, that when Apana Vayu is very strong, when that flow of wind is very strong, you just let it play out.
Yeah.
That's why we have, in even in restorative, what you can do in during your period is advised that do a lot of forward folds. Why?
Yes.
Because it calms you down. It, on a nervous system level, it calms you down, and it also on a pelvic level, on your Apana Vayu level, also it calms you down.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if you do like really cardio kind of activities, swimming for that matter, it is definitely going to create havoc. Maybe not at this particular period cycle, but over the long run, you will see the quality of your period get hampered. So
Yes. Absolutely.
that is still now my understanding or my take on it. And I really believe that, exercise is not something that you should punish yourself to do. Again,
Yes.
3 or 4 days or even a week of not exercising, just moving freely, just doing restorative is not
Yeah.
to create problem
It
in
does, it
your body.
does not hurt. No,
Yeah,
absolutely. So true. So true.
yeah.
Because it's
So
quite a burning question, right? A lot of people
absolutely,
have this
yeah.
question all the time. Yes.
I think the problem, and we both talk about it so many times, that the problem comes when you look at yoga as a form of exercise, which it is
Yes.
not. And even
Yes.
if you look at it as a form of exercise, that is completely okay. But still,
Yes.
you cannot mix it up with, going to the gym or going for a swim or
No.
it
Correct.
has
Correct.
different benefits altogether. It completely, like, it works on your physiology, it works on your nervous system, which I don't think any other form of exercise does.
No, I'm not. Yes. Physiology and nervous system, definitely not. Yes. At a physical level, yes. But
Yes,
these two, no,
absolutely.
for sure. Yeah. So well said, Kavya. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me, Akin, what about now? Like when you are going through this perimenopause, and again, we are talking about all the things, like, for women, it is like we have something, and the whole society gangs up on us, telling us
Yes.
what to do, what not to do about,
Yes.
during pregnancy and during
Yeah.
your PMS, and even there's so much about PCOD and PCOS. I don't think
Yeah.
we should get into it today. Maybe another
Another
whole
day.
episode
Yeah.
dedicated to this. But even for perimenopause, the society comes down crashing on a woman as if
Yeah.
the woman has become obsolete after
Yeah.
they have their menopause. So what is your, like, I want to understand mentally, what do you feel about it right
I
now?
think, of course, I mean, there are changes that happen within our body. But first of all, I think the most important thing that we should all realize as we're getting to that stage is that perimenopause is not a decline. It's just a transition.
Yeah.
And the entire internet, I feel, is just talking about it as, oh my God, like you said, like it's a problem. But it's just a transition of the hormones. And it's the best time, I think, for a woman to look inwards and to, find her strength and bring that clarity within her, because that's the time I think it's very important that a woman slows down.
Mhm.
And when I say slows down, I don't mean slowing down and not doing anything, but just generally slowing down. There are, of course, changes in your hormones that happen, but again, as I said, bringing your body into equilibrium, focusing on stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system, doing exercise that stimulates your vagus nerve, all of that really helps you in this phase. And I can personally say from my own experience that it really helps me. Before I get my periods, I am a little more tired than what I used to be when I was in my 30s. But then that's the time I do yoga nidra. I think yoga nidra is a very big one, and it really it's supporting me at this time. Supta Baddha Konasana, all the restorative poses, Balasana, all of the relaxing poses
Yeah.
I start doing just before I get my periods. Then, when I get my periods, again, I'm slowing down. After that, I build my strength again, and then I can get on to whatever I want to do. So, it's just about knowing when you have to slow down,
Yeah.
when you can. It's an ovulation phase, and so my body is ready to get back to my routine with more strength and vigor. And then when I'm approaching the luteal phase, where I know that I am getting closer to getting my periods again, I again slow down. So I think knowing the three phases and
Yeah.
then knowing when you're supposed to do what
What?
really helps.
That's true.
Uh,
And
with this. And
yeah.
again, I would say I cannot emphasize enough on yoga nidra, because I feel it's such an underrated practice, but I think it does so much at this particular stage for me that I feel like everybody should get on to yoga nidra, especially in perimenopause,
You know,
menopause phase.
I think the world little bit maybe is catching up on yoga nidra, because I see some teachers talking about it and some dedicated teacher training programs on yoga nidra. I don't know how authentic they are.
Yeah,
But I have a personal experience which I would like to share, that as I mentioned, that when I was a teenager and all these insecurities were triggered of, body dysmorphia, I could not look at myself and, find zero blames in I was always like looking at myself in the mirror and just finding faults with my
yeah.
appearance. And that somehow like gave birth to an eating disorder, which
Hmm.
continued for some years. It wasn't like very bad, but it definitely got to a point where I needed medical assistance, and where I needed to go to therapy. And at that particular time, I found Yoga Nidra. Somehow
Mm,
it just the stars aligned, and I met a teacher who taught me Yoga Nidra. And I still to this day tell people who have been through this that Yoga Nidra was that thing which rewired my brain
it's
from
lovely.
understanding myself as that woman who is going through eating disorder or who has body
Yeah,
dysmorphia,
yeah,
to crossing the bridge over, where
yeah,
I can now, eat with confidence and enjoy food. And so
yeah,
Yoga Nidra
yeah.
was that thing which helped me, just like, got my boat through that.
Absolutely. I
And
am loving it at this stage
yeah,
of my life. It's so
yeah,
beautiful. And then also practices like Nadi Shodhana
yeah,
during perimenopause.
yeah,
If someone's going through hot flashes, doing a cooling practice like Shitali Pranayam. All of this, I think, if practiced regularly, then
yeah,
I don't think perimenopause or menopause. And of course, as I said, I'm still work in progress, but
yeah.
I don't feel it as, oh my God. I feel it as
The end
a
of the road.
transition. Yeah, embrace it. I'm just embracing it,
Yeah.
and enjoying the journey at the same time, and not giving it tags and labels.
I think the Western society has some, like, ick for the word slowing down. Either you
Yeah,
are working hard, either you are like a proper machine pushing out work every single day. Either you're productive or you're slowing down. While I look at it as, you have to be product. It's again equilibrium, that through a day you can't just call yourself productive. You have to have moments in your day when, I won't call it slowing down, but coming back to yourself, or, as you said, when you understood what is happening in the body in which cycle, and honoring it,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
slow it down. That basically means honoring the intelligence of the body. And so
absolutely,
like most of the time we have this, problem in ourselves, that we just do not want to honor the intelligence of the body. We do not sleep at the time we are supposed to sleep. We do not eat at the time we are
absolutely.
supposed to eat. And then
Yeah,
we need all these, fancy things and fancy trends
yeah,
to make
yeah.
ourselves understand what we truly need.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, speaking of a sleep is a big one because anyway, you have
Yeah.
cellular repair that happens between 10 and 2 in your body. And
Yeah.
so, sleeping on time and following the circadian rhythm, as
Mhm.
they call it now, which again, Ayurveda spoke about it always, of
Yeah.
following your rhythm,
Yeah.
is such an important thing to, you know, ease through these phases. Now, whether that is PMS, whether that is menopause, whether that is childbirth or a prenatal phase of a woman's life, or even menarche. Sleeping is such a big one. But again, I understand people have priorities. People have, I remember you were talking about one of your students who's going through or taking HRT because
Yeah.
she's unable to follow a rhythm. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that, Kavya?
I think even I don't find anything wrong with bio HRT at this point, because if you are at a role, I think we had this conversation, right? Like,
Yeah,
I consider myself privileged or not privileged. I have made such life choices that I do what I do right now. I have
yeah,
sacrificed on things, and I think for you, you will agree, right? Like, to have a life that
completely.
you have, to be there for your children, you have
Yes,
sacrificed a lot.
yes,
And so to come to a place like that, it is, the choices that we have made in our life, and we don't look
yeah,
back.
no,
We have that,
completely.
at this point, we have that privilege. Like during my PMS, I do not have to do anything. I have that opportunity to, again, like, either you can call it slowing down, or you can call it honoring the intelligence of the body. I have that
Yeah, yeah,
opportunity, or I have that privilege, because again because of my choices. Now for women who have worked there, they have made certain choices, and I think after your 40s or after your 50s at least is the time in the corporate sector where you start getting bigger roles, where you
yes,
finally are at the top of the ladder. And
correct,
at that
correct.
point, I don't think that, you like that environment is so neck to neck. That environment is so, like, cutthroat, that it does not allow
Yeah,
to just relax during your perimenopause. So for, if you are in such particular roles and your body demands it, you definitely should go for
Honor it
yeah.
completely,
Because you
completely.
know
Because
how
time is luxury, I feel, and
yeah,
not
it
everyone
is.
has
It
that luxury,
yeah.
and
Either
um,
I think either
so
you have money or you have you can have both as well, but like the again like the choices that we make.
correct. It's the lifestyle choices that we make and the priorities we hold. And also, yeah, because yeah, as you said, like some people who are in their 40s and 50s, their priority probably is to build a career, and then for them, I think going down the route of HRT is
Yeah,
probably the way forward.
absolutely.
So I suppose there is no right or wrong. It's what you really want out of your life.
I think I'm glad that now we have all these options available for women rather and especially
Yes.
those who are in such higher roles that they
Yeah.
can go for a bio HRT and then they can still continue to be in that role that they are in. I am so glad
Yes.
that the society has come to this point where women can make these choices.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
even like there's a funny thing that just coming to my mind that in Japan or China somewhere they have I don't know if it's true or it was just an Instagram tabloid kind of a thing that
Yeah.
they offer in a gym membership. They offer one month plus 7 days membership to women because again they believe that women should not come to the gym or if they want to skip gym for those 7 days they can. So
Yeah.
there are again things which are quite bad.
Supportive,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So on that note, I think it was such a lovely conversation, Akhil.
it was. And I'm sure we'll have more to talk about women's health in our next
I
one.
think PCOD and PCOS deserve
Yeah.
a separate episode of its own. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing from your personal life so openly and freely. That
Thank you, Kavya. Thank you
stands
so much.
here. Thank you,
All
Akhil.
right. Yeah.